Afternoon, everyone. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great Galileo annual conference so far. And this session, Take the Wheel, customizing Galileo at your institution. So, about 2 years ago, we rolled out Galileo Admin. And, previously, prior to that, the ability to customize your Galileo portal was a bit complicated. And so one of our goals was to make it as easy as possible and to also allow you to do even more than you could. And so this is kind of a brief overview of what sort of customization options are available in Galileo Admin. So today we will be going over what is Galileo Admin, and then we will jump into a demo where I will show you how to customize bento boxes, how to customize your featured resources, otherwise known as in the spotlight area, how to manage your institutional links, and then how to customize your Galileo managed resources, including managing the display of those, adding additional subjects, adding additional keywords, and then managing resources for K-12 use for those of you at a public library or K-12. And then, even though we'll be going over a lot today, there's even more that Galileo Admin can do. And so we'll go over what else it can do, the different account types. And then we'll also be offering a full Galileo Admin 1 training, which kind of goes over the things I'm going into today, even in even more detail with some additional features. And then there'll be time for questions at the end. So what is Galileo Admin? Galileo Admin is an administrative area that allows you to customize the Galileo portal and view and edit your institutional information. In Galileo Admin, you can add locally purchased resources to your database list, customize bento boxes, manage in the spotlight area, view institutional information, manage brandings, run institutional reports, and more. And we are continually adding more and more to that. So now I'm going to jump to the demo. And so right now I'm actually logged in to Galileo Admin. And today I'm going to be, the demo, I'm going to be using a Decatur City Schools account. So I'm logged in as a Decatur City Schools at Galileo Admin user. And I'm also want to mention that I'm in our staging environment. So things may look a little bit different than what you see in the day-to-day production environment of Galileo. But just wanted to mention that. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about is one of our newest feature that we've added. We added it, I guess technically about a year ago, but then we made it the default search last December, and that's the bento boxes. So I'm going to pull up, I'm logged in to Galileo here as a Decatur City Schools user, and just I'm sure most of you have seen this, but just let you know, I run a search, a bento search, and then I get all these bento boxes that are broken out by type. And so I wanted to show you how you can customize the bento boxes using Galileo Admin. So I'm going to jump back to Galileo Admin. I want to be doing several jumping back and forth between the admin and Galileo search. But if I go to institutions, you see Decatur City Schools. If I go into their account. Here you'll see some buttons at the top, and one of the buttons is Bentos. And so here, since I am logged in as a K-12 school, K-12 schools and public libraries have multiple views. So you'll see elementary school, middle school, high school, and in K-12's case, educator. And then in public schools, you would see a full view. And then if you're at an academic institution, you would just see one view, which is named default. But when I go into the Bentos area, you'll see an overview of the views, and then you'll get a list of which bento boxes are showing for each view. If I go into one of these, I'm going to go into the high school view. You'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a column named visible, and then another column named hidden. So in GALILEO Admin, you can control which bento boxes are visible to your users and which ones are hidden. So again, this is just for the high school view. I can manipulate the bentos for each view independently. So you'll see at the top, there's a databases bento. So one of the really neat things is we have a click and drop capability. So if I didn't want databases to be at the top, if I wanted to move it down a couple, I can just click and drag these and move them up above it. So you'll see now that databases is the third list now, and then you'll also notice that I can click on the name of the bento and the description, and I can actually change what these are called. So if I didn't want databases to be called databases, and I wanted it to be called resources, just type resources in there. And then I can also change the description. So right now it says database available through Galileo. I'll just change this to resources available through Galileo. So I've changed the order up. I've changed the database bento. And let's say I didn't want the news bento and I wanted to hide that. I would just click and I drag that over to the hidden column. So now that I've made all these changes, I want to go down to the bottom and click Save Changes. And if I forgot to save the changes and I tried to move away from this page, it would actually tell me, hey, you have some changes that are not saved. Are you sure you want to move away? And so it will remind you if there's changes. So I want to click Save. All right. Now I'm going to go back to Galileo Search. And I'm actually an educator right now, but I'm going to switch the view over to high school view. And it actually reruns that search that of education I ran earlier. But you'll notice here that the database's bento has now been updated to resources. And if I hover over the information icon, you'll see the new description that I gave it is also there. And if I scroll down, you'll notice that there's no news bento. And so it is that easy. So the next thing I want to show you, in addition to manipulating or updating existing bentos that are there, you can also add new bentos. So let's say I'm in high school view and I wanted to add a bento. It's going to take me to this form here. And so I can select my user view. In this case, it's high school, and that's where I want to add the bento. Bento type. And then I have a whole list of options here. And one I wanted to show you, these are all predefined bentos, pre-configured bentos that are set up by Galileo. So for this demo, I'm going to actually add the research starters bento, and then it populates the name. So we for each K-12 view, we set up a kind of a default list of bentos, and so in addition to the list of bentos, we also set a default name and default description. So so when you select one of these bentos, it actually will populate the name, the default name that we gave it. You can keep that if you want, or you can change it. And then you can also define the order. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm actually going to use the click and drag ability to change the order. And then at the bottom, I can specify if I want it visible or not to users. So okay, I'm going to add the research starters. Got my description. I just want to keep with the default and then submit. And so now that's been added. So if I go back using the little breadcrumb at the top, I want to go back to my bento list for high school view, and you'll notice that research starters was added to the bottom, and I can change that if I wanted to. So I'm going to save those changes. Save, and I want to go back and refresh. And let's see, and yep, yeah, they are research starters. And so you'll see that you'll see all the different research starters that are available that match the search term. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to switch views. So I'm going to go back to the main bento overview page and then go to the educator view. So now I'm going to add a bento to the educator. You'll see that the educator view has more bentos in the hidden field, hidden column. And I can click and drag those if I want, but in this case, I'm going to click on the new bento again. Educator view, and instead of a pre-configured bento, I'm actually going to go to this one called custom EDS resource. So in addition to adding the bentos that Galileo has already set up, you can also add a bento for anything that is displaying in EDS. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So custom EDS. And so I'm actually going to add a bento for the directory of open access journals. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in there and then add a description. I want it visible. And so at the bottom, it asks for a database name. So in order to get that, I'm going to go back to Galileo search. I want to switch to educator view. And I'm actually need to do a classic search. I'm just going to search for education. And if I scroll down to the left and look at the left-hand side, click on limit by database. I'm going to sort. And scroll down and find the directory of open access journals. So I can add any of these databases, but the trick is I have to add them using the exact name as it appears here in this database list, the database filter. So I'm just going to copy this and then go back to Galileo Admin and paste it in. So I can add, in this case, I'm just adding a bento for one database, but let's say I had like a collection of Gale databases and I just wanted a Gale database bento. I can add multiple databases here. So I could add, each one of my Gale databases if I wanted to. But in this case, I'm just adding this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And when I go back to educator, you'll see it's been added to the bottom. Now I'm going to get out of here and go back to Galileo. Okay, I'm in educator view. I'll switch to bento search. Search for education again. Okay, if I scroll to the bottom, you'll see a directory of open access journals at the bottom. So that's how to add a custom database, bento. So I'm gonna go back. And so go back. So and just one more thing on bento. So once let's say I add a bunch of custom bentos and custom names, and I just want to start over back from scratch. I can do that. There's a restore view defaults button. So if I click on that, it would change any bentos I renamed. It won't take away any of the new bentos I added, but it will move those to the bottom. So if I wanted to, to keep the directory of open access journals, I would have to resort it. If I didn't want it anymore, I could just click on this X button to delete it and then save changes. And it will be gone. So that's bento. And again, I'll be going over a little bit more in depth in the training that we'll talk about later. The next area I wanted to talk to you about is the in the spotlight area. So the in the spotlight area allows you to sort of highlight 6 different resources. They can be resources, they can be, a link to anything, your summer reading program, your LibGuides if you want. But by default, we have selected 6 resources that we felt, they're going to be the most used or most popular for a particular view. But you can definitely change these, and I want to show you how to do that. So right now I'm actually in the educator view, but I'm going to switch over to the high school view. And so you'll notice that these featured resources for high school are different than the ones for educator. So I want to go back to the institution record. And then there's a features button. And so you'll see here that when I go into the features area, you'll see all the the default featured resources. And since there are 4 different views, well, 5 different views, you'll see each view type with each default resource. So you can customize these for each view. So, but in this case, I want to add a new featured resource for the high school view. So in order to do that, I click on the new button. And so now I can select which view I want to add the resource, the item, the featured resource to. So I'm going to select high school view. And you'll notice here that these resources are 6 of them, and the top left is number 1, the first first ranking one, not ranking, but that's the first spot, and then the bottom right is the 6th position. So then once I selected the view type, I go to position, and so let's say I want it to be in position 2. So if I look, you'll see that position 2 is SIRS. So this is actually going to replace the SIRS resource. And so now I would add a label. So I'm actually going to add World Book Encyclopedia, since Decatur City Schools subscribes to that locally. I'm going to add that to their featured resources. I'm going to copy and paste World Book Encyclopedia as a label. And then I grab the express link for each resource that is added to, that is in Galileo Admin, whether it be a Galileo resource or one that you purchase locally, has a express link. So that's the best link to use for this. And then I'm going to add a description. So like I said, I'm adding a resource, but you can actually add anything. The only thing that you can't add, you can add a link to anything. One thing that you can't do is add a widget. So you can't add like your library chat code here. That will not work. It has to be a URL. And finally, I'm going to upload an image I'd like to use. So I got to grab the World Book Encyclopedia online. So I got all that filled out. I'm going to click Create Feature. So it's saved. So I'm going to go back to, so now you'll see that right now it's the SIRS, but if I refresh, see now that you'll see SIRS has been replaced with World Book Encyclopedia. And so now if I go back to Galileo Admin and go to the features area, you'll see World Book Encyclopedia is at the top because this is one that I have added. And it's one that is overriding one of the defaults. And so you'll see here it shows it's in the high school view and it's position 2. And if I scroll down, you'll see here that if I go look under high school view position 2, it's highlighted in yellow or brown or whatever that color is. And this just indicates that SIRS Discoverer is not showing because it's being overridden. And one question we get asked is, well, what if I want to make SIRS Discoverer position 3? How do I do that? And eventually we would like to add the drag and drop functionality that we have for Bento for the featured resources, but we're not quite there yet. But for right now, what you would have to do is you would have to create SIRS Discoverer as a custom resource and just give it a new position. So I'm going to scroll back up and say I wanted to delete this featured resource. I'll click delete. Okay. So now it's gone. And when I go back to Galileo Galileo Search and refresh, it shows SIRS Discoverer again. And that's how to customize your featured resources. And the next area I wanted to show you is how to customize your institution links. So I'm going to go back to the institution page. And there's a lot in here that I'm not going to show you today just for time, but I will be going over this area more in depth in the training. But I just wanted to show you because it's something that we wanted to do for a long time, and it was a heavily requested feature. Is if I click on the edit button here, I now have the ability to edit my institution links. So right now, Decatur City Schools just has the one link to their home page or their library page or school page. And if you're not familiar with where these are, let me show you real quick. If I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see about Decatur City Schools and then Decatur City Schools, and then that would link me over. I'll show you how easy it is to add another link. I just grabbed the link to their school events calendar. So I'm just going to add the name that I want the link to have, and then the URL. And in addition to adding, managing your links, you can also hide or show tools and also add keywords. And I'll go over that more in depth in the training, but there are other things you can do here as well. I want to go ahead and update the links. So now I want to go back and refresh. And so now you'll see that there's a link to the school events calendar here. And, and for the links, they need to be, your typical HTTP or HTTPS links. You can't add widgets there or anything at this time. So just keep that in mind. And okay, next, the last area I wanted to show you was the customizing Galileo managed resources. So I'm on my Decatur City Schools page. So now I'm actually going to go to resources. And this area allows you to just easily search and find or sort your resources, whether they be your resources you get through Galileo or resources that you've added locally. But what I wanted to show you is one of the heavily requested features that we've had was, okay, well, we have a record that is a Galileo provided resource, and we want to be able to not display it in the database list or want to be able to add subjects. And in the past, it wasn't possible to do this just because of our previous system, how it was set up. But that was those features were some things that we definitely wanted to do. And since we were building Galileo Admin from the ground up, we had the opportunity to build these highly requested features in. So I'm going to search for Britannica. And I'm actually going to, for this example, I'm going to pull up Britannica Online Japan. click on Customize. And so you'll see here that I have the ability to display this resource in Galileo. So if I wanted it to not display, I would just toggle that off, then save, and it would disappear. And that was, this comes in handy if, let's say, not necessarily this particular resource, but in the past we've had, one of the resources that Galileo provides is Academic Search Complete. And we've had institutions in the past purchase Academic Search Ultimate, and they didn't want both Academic Search Complete and Ultimate both appearing at the same time. They wanted people to use the Ultimate that they purchased. And so using this functionality in Galileo Admin, they're now able to go into Academic Search Complete and then have it turn off the display of it. And then that way, when you're searching, looking at the database list or searching for academic search, only the Ultimate displays. But the nice part is that it actually doesn't remove access to the resource. So if someone has a saved link to Academic Search Complete, it'll still work. It just won't appear in the database list. Another thing that we rolled out, I guess it was end of last year, was the ability to add subjects and keywords to Galileo Admin resources. So I'm going to, right now there's just the one subject area in Galileo for Britannica, Japan, but I'm going to just add, let's see, I can either scroll through the list of subject categories, or I can just pick one. I'll just pick animals. Why not? And then I can also add additional keywords. So let's say, I have Japanese as a keyword, but let's say I just wanted to add Japan there as well. I can do that. And so now it's displaying. So now you see above it, it'll show you the keywords that are currently showing for everyone. And then this is the additional one. And then the nice part is just when you add these new subjects or additional keywords, they only show for your institution. They don't show for anyone else. So that's one really nice thing. And so I'm going to click Update Allocation to add the subject categories, subject category and keyword. And so now I want to go back and I'm just going to search for Japan. Actually, before I do that, let me do one other thing. I'm going to go back to Edit, and I wanted to show you the K-12 views. So this is something that is only available to public libraries and public schools that have the K-12 views, but this allows you to either add or remove resources from K-12 views. So for this Britannica Online Japan, right now it's only showing for the high school view, but let's say I wanted to show it for high school and middle school. And it's always, even though you don't see educator here, it always shows for educator. But I'm going to add some overrides here. So I'm actually going to, this is just saying, okay, this is where I want it to display. So I want it to still display in high school, and then I want to add the middle school view. And so I also need to toggle this to say that I do have overrides in place. So Galileo knows that I am overriding. And so now I'm going to save these changes again. Okay, then I'm going to search, go to all databases, search for Japan. I'm going to go under the more info. And so you'll see here that under keywords, I now see the Japan keyword. And then under subjects, I also have the animals subject that I added. And so I'm under high school, which it was there before, but if I go under middle school, and search for Japan, you see that it appears here again. So now if I wanted to go in here and I wanted to turn these overrides off, now it disappears from the middle school view. Okay. So now I'm actually going to go back to my slides. And these go through my backup slides that I thankfully did not need. So this is just kind of, just some highlights on some of the customization options you have in Galileo Admin, but Galileo Admin can do a lot more. So what else can Galileo Admin do? So the biggest thing that I didn't have time to mention today at all is you can integrate your local resources. So if your library has resources that you subscribe to locally, you can add those into Galileo. And there's, training that we offer. It's about an hour and a half where we dig in and show you how you can set those up. You can also manage your branding, and so that's mostly for branding of those local resources. We also have some reporting options. So if you wanted, one of the questions we get asked a lot is I need a serials report of how many ebooks do I have, how many full text journals do I have, and there's a report in there that will give you that information. And also there's a report in there that gives you a complete list of express links. You also, with Galileo Admin, you can view your institutional information, like which IP addresses do we have on file for you, what contacts do we have for you, and more. So there's two different account types for Galileo Admin. All the things that I mentioned today are all under the general account type. So bento customization, featured resources, customizing your Galileo managed resources, reporting and institutional information. And then we also have advanced accounts, which is everything that general users can do, plus managing your local resources. So we realize that not everyone is going to want to take on managing your local resources. So, but for those that do, that is an option. And we have a training coming up on July 12th. And I'll go ahead and pop in the links that you can register for that training. Oh, looks like Russell already did that, so I don't need to worry about that. But yeah, so we have a training on July 12th at 10, and if you're not able to make it, we will be recording that and we can send you the recording. And we also have Galileo Admin 2, which covers the local resource integrations. We have that available on need, based on the need. So if that's something you're interested in, you can submit a ticket to us and let us know that's something you'd like to get trained on. And okay, that is it. Are there any questions? So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but if you have any questions about anything that I've gone over today, we have about 8 minutes now, so I'm happy to go over something again or give further explanation. You're welcome, Tina. Welcome, Ben. Well, I hope everyone was. We already have another. Oh, okay, Russell. That's good. Yeah, I hope that this and kind of demystifies Galileo admin and the back end, and shows you just how easy customizing Galileo can be. Because I know in the past it was complicated, and so we definitely wanted to make it easier, and I hope that you see that, and we're continually making adding more features and trying to make it even easier. And but yeah, if nobody has any questions about anything, I guess I can give you a 7 minutes or so back of your time, so you can get a snack or get some more coffee, some afternoon coffee or something. And well, I thank you so much for taking time to learn about Galileo Admin, and I hope I see a lot of you at the training in July. Take care.